Hi, this is Elisa with XYZ Wellness. Today we're going to do a practice primarily focusing on the neck and shoulders area. So if you're on a yoga mat like I am, then you can be in any comfortable seat, maybe sitting up on a blanket or a block or a bolster, something to help you get a little lift in the spine, or you could even do this sitting in a chair if that feels better for you. So we'll first come to our comfortable seat, allowing the body to connect to the earth, feeling the ground underneath your body. So whether that's your feet in a chair, and then your sitting bones in that chair, or sitting on a blanket like I am sitting on a mat. So sitting up nice and tall, lengthening through the spine, and imagining the vertebrae and trying to create an image and then maybe even the reality of a little more space between each of the vertebrae as we allow the eyes to close here. So only if that's comfortable. If that doesn't feel good to you today, then leaving the eyes open, maybe letting them rest down towards the floor. And we can take this opportunity to just notice what's happening in the body, noticing how the breath feels, noticing where you have awareness of the breath. And maybe observing any places that might be a little tight or tense. So since we're focusing on neck and shoulders today, maybe bringing awareness to just how it feels into the upper back and shoulders. Do you feel a little tight? Are your shoulders up around the ears? And can you use the breath to help them relax and release a little bit? Maybe allowing the breath to grow a little longer and deeper. And if you're having a particularly stressful day, maybe taking a breath in through the nose and then letting out a sigh through the mouth. And that can feel really good, helping to release any extra heat or any tension you're building up or you've built up throughout the day. And maybe doing that a couple more times if that's appropriate. And again, just noticing, without any type of judgments or stories. And then when you're ready, you can come back to more of a natural breath. Letting the breath flow in and out of the body, creating space every time you take a breath in. And then having a sense of release every time you let go, exhaling, letting go all the way down to the earth. And then as you're ready, we'll start to work on the neck, finding some flexibility and mobility. Maybe allowing the eyes to open or still leaving them closed if that feels good. And we'll start to move the neck. So lifting up, finding that length, growing just a little bit taller perhaps. And we'll inhale here. And as we exhale, bringing the chin down towards the chest. Finding a little more length in the back of the neck and a little more stretch into the upper back and shoulders. And then we'll inhale, bringing the chin back parallel to the floor. And exhaling, lowering down. So we'll do that a few times, almost as if we were nodding our head yes. And you can move here just as slowly or as quickly as feels good. So not rushing to get anywhere. And if you notice that it feels particularly good in this chin to chest position, maybe pausing there for an extra moment or two. And then noticing how does it feel when you lift the head once again, bringing the head on top of the shoulders. So we'll do this one more time, this motion. And the next time we come back into our starting position, we'll change that a little bit. So we'll start to turn the head, bring the chin over towards the right shoulder. And then inhaling back through center and exhaling over towards the left shoulder. So as we're turning here, again, maybe this is a side-to-side motion, maybe this is as if we were shaking our head no, but definitely much slower. You might notice that one side feels a little tighter, or maybe there's a greater or lesser range of motion to one side. Just making those observations as always, so not attaching those stories as to why one side might feel a little differently, not attaching any stories or judgments, just allowing it to be, accepting what is, and then moving in your own comfortable range of motion here. So we'll do one more time to each direction. And then coming back, bringing our head back into that neutral starting position. Now we'll change it once again. So we'll inhale, getting nice and tall. And this time we'll bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Now we're creating some space, a little bit of stretch on the left side of the neck. Maybe crawling those fingertips out alongside the floor, either to the floor, or if we had a block there, we can rest our hand on the block. Only if that feels okay there. If that's a little too much, then bringing the hand back to the lap. Always listening to your body. So from here, we could stay right in this position, or taking it maybe a little differently, bringing the right hand just outside the left ear, not pulling or tugging, just allowing a little bit of extra weight from the hand to accentuate that stretch. Just breathing into it, remembering if at any point it becomes too uncomfortable or we find a little bit of pain, just very slowly backing out of it and finding a position that does feel better. So we've explored a few different motions, so if one of those feels better, going back to either of those. And then very slowly we'll inhale, lifting that hand away. And then from here, very slowly coming back to center. So we'll allow the spine, and the neck is part of the spine, it's our cervical spine. We'll allow the whole spine to neutralize a little bit, and then we'll come to that other side. So inhaling, and then exhaling, bringing the left ear towards the left shoulder. Maybe bringing right fingertips along the floor, finding a deeper stretch on the side of the neck. And then, only if it's accessible to you today, maybe bringing that left hand to the right side of the head. Breathing into whatever sensations come up. Relaxing the jaw, the eyes. Never holding the breath. If you find you're holding the breath, then perhaps you're trying too hard, and then just backing out of it a little bit. We'll slowly release that hand if we have it on the side of the head, and then inhaling slowly back to center. So from here, after sitting in this position for a little bit, you might want to change your front leg, or if you're sitting in a chair, maybe adjusting your seat, but still sitting up onto those sitting bones, sitting nice and tall. And I invite you as well, if you're sitting cross-legged, maybe to extend the legs. You could extend the legs with the knees bent, choosing whatever feels best right now. So we don't want our legs to become so uncomfortable that we cannot focus on the rest of what we're doing. So never creating tension in one part of the body when we're trying to relieve it in another area. So again, we'll sit up very tall. We moved our chin and our neck through some different motions. So now I invite you to explore any of those motions, or maybe drawing the chin along the chest, drawing some half circles. So this is your time to kind of check in, and if there's a movement that your neck might need, especially after that longer hold that we did to both sides, then maybe coming to that place. Always in your practice listening to your body, letting the body make those intelligent decisions, never letting the ego or your expectations lead you into any type of posture or pose or place that doesn't feel good. And since we've moved our head and neck in different directions, and we started with our yes and our no, we'll come back to center and we'll end that with a yes. So always ending on the positive. coming back into our seat, again making any adjustments so that our legs are comfortable, we can start to roll out the shoulders a little bit. So maybe shrugging the ears up, inhaling and exhaling them back down. Coming into a little bit of a circular motion. So maybe one arm at a time, or you can do both arms. We can start out maybe a little smaller with this motion, and then as you like, maybe getting a little bigger, a little bigger. So maybe almost like a backstroke here. Breathing as we're moving. Whatever rate feels good to you with the breath. Since we're flowing here, you might inhale up and then exhale back and down. And then we'll go forward, and we'll start just as small on that forward motion. Again, maybe both arms together. Massaging out the upper back and the shoulders. And then again, coming forward. Maybe now we're doing a little bit of freestyle swimming. And maybe even noticing as we're moving here that the torso gets involved as well. So the body is all interconnected. It's one big connected chain. Each part affects the next part and so on. So just noticing how each body part, each part of the body influences and affects the others. And we'll come back into our seat, checking in with the body. And taking a moment to pause and observe how just these simple motions that we've been doing so far, how maybe they've changed the inner experience. Maybe you're noticing a little less tightness, or maybe you're just feeling the work and the breath that you've created, feeling the energy. And then as you're ready, we'll come back and make our way onto hands and knees. So when it comes to hands and knees, it can be really helpful sometimes to have a little extra padding under the knees. And that could be rolling up the bottom of your yoga mat, or you can have a blanket or a towel, placing the knees onto that extra cushioning. And we'll have hands directly under our shoulders, knees are under our hips. And we'll start to inhale, lifting the tailbone. So as we lift the tailbone, noticing that the belly drops, and we'll extend the heart forward, pushing that floor away from us as we come into cow pose. Exhaling, now we'll draw the tailbone down, lifting the belly button into the spine and bringing chin to the chest into cat. Inhaling, starting down at the base of the spine, coming forward into cow. Exhaling, rounding into cat. So now we're getting a little bit more of the entire spine involved here. Starting down at the hips, and then coming all the way up to the crown of the head. And as much as you can, really thinking about articulating that motion. So rather than starting up at the top of the head and leading that way, leading down from the hips, letting the head and neck move last. So even if the temptation is to curve that chin into the chest right away into our cat pose, as best as you can, trying to let the head follow, being the passenger here, not the driving force. So we'll do one more round of this cat and cow pose, this combination. And then coming back into our tabletop. We're going to add a rotation for the torso, and then a little bit of a stretch for the shoulder. So pushing that floor away from us with our neutral position, really having strong arms. We'll inhale the right arm up to the sky, maybe looking up to the hand if that feels okay. We're opening the chest towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we'll bring that right arm through, threading the needle, but letting that arm hover off the floor. And then inhaling to the sky, exhaling, coming through. And letting the hips still be over the knees as we're moving here. Creating a little bit of warmth through the torso, getting a little bit of a twist. We'll do just one more time like this. And this time, as we bring the right arm through, we can bring the forearm down to the mat, and then either placing a block under the right side of the head, or we can bring that head all the way down to the mat. So whatever feels most comfortable to you. We can push the right forearm into the mat to get a little more stretch into the back of that right shoulder. And the left hand could either be where we started, we could extend it forward, or lift it all the way up to the sky. So choosing what feels good in that left arm, maybe bringing hand to the low back. So there's no right or wrong there, so it's whatever feels good. Remembering if this is uncomfortable in any way to the neck, we can come back into cat and cow. But if we're still here in this shoulder stretch, we'll bring the left hand back to where we started, and then slowly lifting, coming back onto hands and knees. We'll do the other side, and I'll just flip around, coming back into my hands and knees position. And again, first starting in that neutral position, we'll inhale the left arm this time, maybe noticing a different range of motion as we open the heart towards the sky. Exhaling, bending that right elbow coming through. Inhaling. And then exhaling, rotating. Allowing the breath to be steady. Remembering if this isn't comfortable today, we always have the option of returning into cat and cow, or maybe even bringing our bodies into a place of rest, maybe coming into a child's pose. We'll do just one more time, opening the heart, and then allowing that left arm to come all the way through, resting the left side of the face down onto our block or onto the mat. And again, this right hand can stay right here. We can reach it long, maybe getting a little more stretch in that right shoulder. Or you can lift that arm to the sky, getting a little bit of a chest opener here, and a stretch in the front of the shoulder. And wherever you are, sending the breath to any place that you're feeling that sensation. And if you need just a little more stretch in that left shoulder, maybe you're not feeling it quite that much, you can push the hand and the forearm into the mat. Or if you're really, really feeling it, then maybe backing off that a little bit. Bringing our right hand back to our starting position, and then coming back onto hands and knees. From here, we'll bring big toes to touch, letting the knees be wide, and we'll sink our hips all the way back and down into child's pose, allowing the forehead to rest here, either all the way down to the mat, or if it doesn't make it there, we could bring our hands under the forehead, or maybe stacking one of our blocks underneath the forehead, allowing the spine to stay long. And if you're feeling a little bit of tightness in the shoulders after what we did, or you want a little extra release, you have the option of bringing hands back around the feet. So allowing that spine to be long. Sending the breath wherever you might need it. So maybe observing if you're noticing maybe a little more sensation in one side of the body or the other. Maybe it's not even your shoulders you're feeling. Maybe in this child's pose you're aware of the ankles or the inner thighs, the low back. So just observing whatever's happening for you. There's no right or wrong. And then we'll inhale, bringing the hands forward, coming up back onto our hands and knees, and then onto the heels. And we'll make our way back into any seat. So it might feel good to come back into a cross-legged position, or perhaps staying on the knees like we just were. So you could cushion the knees on the blanket. And only sitting in this position if that feels good. So if you'd like to be on your knees, you always have the option of taking one of the blocks, maybe placing it between the feet, giving you something to sit on just a little higher. Or you could sit on a bolster. But we'll find any comfortable seat here. Remember, you could come to that cross-legged position, or you could have the legs in front with the knees bent. And then we'll inhale, bringing the left arm to the sky. So first lifting that arm with the palm facing away. We can bring the fingertips between the shoulders here. So this is kind of a traditional tricep stretch, but it does get into the shoulder as well. So we can either stay right here, or we could bring the other arm behind the body. So trying to reach for our fingers. If we had a strap, we could hold on to that strap, but it's not necessary for the fingers to touch. And if this is uncomfortable, again, we could release that right arm down, maybe bringing the right fingertips to the left elbow. So finding your place here in this stretch, letting the jaw and the shoulder relax. And then we'll inhale and bring the arms down along the side of the body. So we can try that again on the other side. First lifting the right arm to the sky, turning that palm away from us, and then bringing the fingertips between the shoulder blades. So again, option here to bring the left fingertips to the right elbow, or you can bring that right arm behind the body. And if this is your tighter side, maybe you'll find a little more space between the fingertips, or if it's your more flexible side, maybe you'll have a little more room to reach the fingertips. So breathing into that, remembering we could use a strap to hold on and try and reach the fingertips if we needed to, but that's not necessary. We're just trying to get a nice stretch. And again, if this is too much, coming back to this first position. And then inhaling, we'll bring the arms wide, just as slowly as we can, maybe noticing how that feels when we move very slowly. And then coming back into our seat. We'll inhale, shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhaling them back down. We'll do that 2 more times. So noticing how when we contract into that shrugging motion and then we exhale away, how that releases. We'll do this one last time. Now, pretending we've got a beach ball behind us, we'll hug that beach ball, opening and expanding through the front of the chest, expanding through the collarbones. So a lot of times we spend our day leaning over things, leaning over our phones or our computers, steering wheels, encountering that with this opening through the front of the shoulders, the front of the chest. And then exhaling, we'll give ourselves a couple of big hugs. Do that one more time. And then coming back into our seat. You could either stay here, or if you'd like, we could come into Shavasana. So if you're in a chair, coming down onto the floor, and then allowing the body to come all the way down, maybe bringing one knee and then the other knee into the chest. Rocking them around for a moment, maybe side to side. And then bringing feet down to the ground. We could come into this position with the knees bent, maybe letting the knees fall in towards each other with the feet a little bit wider, or you could extend the legs with the feet wider than the hips. Arms can be out alongside the body with the palms turned up, or you could rest the hands on the belly. So you come to this place to allow the body to let go. So anytime we practice, we always would like to include a Shavasana. Sometimes maybe if we're just doing a few quick stretches, maybe we don't have a whole lot of time, but we'll stay here for a few breaths. Just noticing, allowing. the body to surrender into the earth, letting go. Or if you're sitting up, just coming back to that place of awareness, observing. Relaxing all the muscles of the body, softening through the forehead, around the eyes. Relaxing all the muscles of the mouth and the jaw, the back of the neck, the throat. And if you're lying down, just allowing their shoulders to sink a little deeper into the earth. And then I invite you to scan the rest of the body. Any place you notice a little tension or tightness, sending the breath to those places. So if you'd like to stay here a little longer, perhaps pausing the video, staying here for just as long as you'd like. Otherwise, we can start to wiggle fingers and toes, maybe moving the ankles or the wrists. You could hug the knees in towards the chest. And then turning to one side with the knees bent, coming into baby pose. Using the hands to help us come into a seat. So coming back to where we started. Bringing hands together at the heart. Taking a moment in gratitude towards the body for all that it does. And thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I do hope you enjoy these videos, and if so, please remember to like and subscribe and to hit that little button to get notified when I do post new videos. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for this time together. Namaste.